Hello, darling. This is River Roaring, celebrating the luminous life force in us all. Hello, darling. I'm River Roaring, and this episode of Luminous Life Force with River Roaring is What If Nothing Is Wrong? Existence as an Act of Service with Stacy Jane Kluck of Austin, Texas. I'm so delighted that I got to meet you this year, Stacy, and thank you so much for coming to join us today and help the audience understand everything that you bring to the universe, which is so much. So tell the audience a little about you, like how you got here, and we'll just start in the beginning and go out into the cosmos nice and slow.
I love it. Sometimes I like a jetpack to get out there, but
yeah, you're the kind with the jetpack, but we're going to take it slow.
Well, thank you for having me. And I have to say this even before we start, like your weekend workshop was really, really a profound moment in my life, and it has informed a lot of things, and it was really beautiful. So thank you. And I'm so excited to be here.
You're welcome. I'm touched. Thank you. Thanks for kind words.
Yeah.
So, how did Stacy Jane Kluck come about? How did she get here? You know, what's that journey been like? How did you form?
I think I ask myself that question every day, and I'm like, I have no idea how I got here. But I feel like, I guess if I go to the little Stacy, I think when I was really young, maybe 4 and under, this may be one of the last times up until where I'm becoming now, where I really felt free. I feel like I was very expansive. Grew up around the Midwest, Minnesota, North Dakota, Wisconsin, that sort of region. But I remember being probably around 3, 4, and I think it was in North Dakota at the time. And I think in retrospect, I was perceiving more than what was here, you know, as in like here is in this concrete 3D world. But I didn't, you don't have language around that when you're a kid. But I remember we'd be driving up towards the Fargo area for a holiday or something, and I'd be laying in the back seat. And one day I looked at my parents, and I didn't recognize them. I thought, who are these people? Where am I? And I remember I had this thought, where would I be if I wasn't here? And I was super young. I don't remember many memories as a kid, but I do remember that.
Wow.
And it scared me a little bit because I think I was feeling a little out of body, or I was having some experience, and I think I liked it, but it was also weird. And so I remember asking my parents that, and I'm like, do you guys ever wonder, like, where would I be if I wasn't here, but not like here in this car? And they're like, well, yeah, like they had no idea what I was talking about. I'm 4, so they're trying to say something. And I think I had this sort of freedom and this kind of connection to open, I was very open. But then something shifted, not sure what, and both my parents were like teachers, and Dad was a football coach. So, everything, and they loved me so much. And I was the only child, so I spent lots of time alone.
Okay.
So I always was with my imagination or with my imaginary friends or my toys or books, lots of books. But at some point, they wanted everything to go really well for me. My parents wanted me to be successful. And just like many people in this world, they're in that, like, here's how to be, there's a right way and there's a wrong way. And so I would go to do something, and there might be a correction or a intervention, like, oh, actually do it this way, do it this way. And so I think over time what happened, and again, it's no fault of anybody's, nothing went wrong, like the title.
Right.
It all was very good, serving a good purpose. But all of a sudden, I started writing the story about my experience that I don't know what I'm doing. And if I'm doing something, I'm going to do it wrong. Right? I just thought, and I learned to not trust myself, or I wrote that story somehow. And
Beautiful.
It was so extreme, where if I had a little friend say, what's your favorite color? I would get terrified.
Wow.
And I would, because I thought I was going to be wrong.
Right.
And so I would say,
You started doubting yourself at the gut level, at every level.
yeah. And I was constantly in fear. And so as a kid, I didn't quite know how to handle that. So for a while, I just shut down and I would just kind of be quiet. But obviously, you've seen my energy. That's not...
Something happened in the middle there.
Well,
it's not who you are today.
Well, and it didn't serve me then. I had too much energy and I talk too much, that shutting down thing didn't work. So then I decided I was going to do the opposite. So if my parents, especially, mom, females and their mothers are always
we got
an interesting challenge. I just decided I'm never going to be criticized again. I'm never going to, because there was part of me that knew I had power, because there always is. A part of us knows, like, yes, I can trust myself.
Interesting thread. Yeah.
And so that part of me was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to be the best at everything, and everything I touch is going to turn to gold, and no one will ever challenge me again. I'm taking my power back. So I decided I'm on a quest to be perfect.
Okay.
And my dad, being a coach, pardon me, anything I did, if I want to get good at ballet, all of a sudden he's like, all right, Vietnam vet, football coach guy, get up early, working out. He is helping me train.
Okay.
He's moving my
right
furniture.
there.
He's building a ballet bar for my room.
Yeah, mirror.
Whatever I did, it was like, you want to get good? Oh, I'll help you get good. You'll be the best.
Okay. He was right behind you.
And
behind you.
Yes. And he had the conditioning, like, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Tough.
And so I had such discipline. And so everyone was like, oh my God, you're so disciplined. And, 4.0 student, first chair in band. I was the top in our ballet company. You name it, whatever I did, I'm like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Until I took the perfection too far. Wanted the perfect body, wanted the perfect diet, wanted to be the perfect health. Well, I took the diet and the exercise too far. Pretty soon, I think I was 14, I'm 70 pounds and I'm in a psych ward.
Oh no, yeah, right.
So I didn't have an off switch. Is really what happened.
Yeah.
Because it really wasn't about what I looked like. It was about control. Because I was in fear, right? That, like, I'm not enough. So then if you view the world as a threat, you want some kind of sense of control.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was doing. And then fast forward, I didn't drink or anything like that. I didn't party in high school because I was too busy. I wanted to be a professional ballet dancer. I wanted to be perfect. I wanted to be better than human. I basically thought being in a body and liking food and drink and sex was like lesser than.
Okay, yeah.
I developed it was a weird neurosis now that I think about it. It's kind
interesting.
Yeah, it was a very strange thing I just didn't care about the things other people cared about my age. I was like, it's lame. I just wanted everything, I don't know. Again, I wanted everything to be like in this ethereal world. And in ballet, you feel like you're like better than human.
Especially, I guess, if you're the best in the company. And so you're taking the leads in all the performances and...
Yeah, and I never made it to a professional company, which I think bothered me. But by the time I got to that, I had discovered photography. So in college, I had an incident where I was introduced to booze and sex. And there was some pressure involved. But once that happened, I realized, as soon as I take one drink, that mean discipline voice is gone.
Okay.
And then I'm drinking and partying until all hours, like every time I went out it was like the last time I was ever going to be free. And other people didn't understand it.
Okay.
They're just having a drink or two, like, why is she so insane? Because I knew I'm going to wake up tomorrow and the other one's going to turn on. And so I lived between these oppositional forces, and there was extreme, alcoholism, there was sex addiction, there was drugs, mostly cocaine. I didn't do anything that slowed me down, right? So it was just this, but then I would get up in the morning and it was like, look what you did last night. And then I'd be on the stair climber for 2 hours, and it was just this punishment. And it was these extremes. And so that there were some attempts to not be in a body that happened at some of those rock bottoms and that kind of thing. And so it got real dark. And there was times where it was fun, but it was pretty quick.
You can't do that too long.
Right, you can't do that too long before it gets dark.
And
it got dark, and it stayed dark for quite a while, but then I'd reach a rock bottom, and everyone's like, "Oh, she's not coming back from this one." And everyone was confused because they're like, "Wait, this girl used to be perfect, and now all of a sudden she's totally in the gutter destroying everything. What's happening?" And then I would come up, and they're like, "Oh, I think she's fine." And I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm fine." But then a little while would happen, boom, right back down. I'm like, "Give me the shovel. I think I can go further." And it was this strange thing. And so somehow I was in Chicago for a while, had a rock bottom, left for a brief minute, went back. And before I had left, I don't know, I was somehow teaching ballroom dance, and having DTs and teaching ballroom dance, like, not recommended.
Ouch.
It was pretty gross. But I had gotten canned from my fancy restaurant job for, again, I went to the ER multiple times. They're like, what happened?
Partying
They're
so
like, what
hard.
happened to her? Well, really partying meant like drinking by myself till 5 a.m. But
Okay.
yeah. I mean, even if I went out, I was kind of a loner. I didn't travel with groups of friends. I knew everyone at every bar. I was a regular everywhere, every nightclub, every bar. But yeah, exactly that. And I forgot where I was going. Oh, yes. So I lose this job because I'm sick all the time, having like almost seizure-like things. And I thought, I don't know what's happening to me. But deep down, I think I knew what was happening. So I'm teaching ballroom dance. And this woman, I don't remember her name or even what she looks like now, but I remember she was an acupuncturist. After some group salsa class, she's talking to me. And she must have offered me a cheap to free session. I don't know why. Maybe I had no boundaries in telling her my life was falling apart. I have no idea what I said to her. But I remember I went to her practice. And I was like, I don't know what this weird shit is. Like, I have no idea. She did some manual muscle testing, now that I remember back. And I thought, well, this is garbage she's doing. But also a part of me kind of liked it too, you know?
Intrigued.
And she's like, wow, you really don't have any life force available to you. And she said, I don't know how you get out of bed in the morning. And I said, well, that makes two of us. And then shortly after, you know, I had a big, you know, suicide attempt, and so then after I pulled myself out of that hole, I go back to Chicago. Things were getting dark, but I had already had all the diagnoses. I had been on all the pharmaceuticals, and they never worked. And so I told my friend who was letting me stay with him, you know, because I always too broke. And I said, you know, maybe I'll try acupuncture, right? And he's like, all right, whatever. He's like, she's nuts. Do your thing. And I ended up, I'd get these grandiose ideas, but then I wouldn't follow through. So I forgot. I'm like, I'm going to do acupuncture. Forget. Well, one day I'm going to day drink on a day off. I'm walking through Lincoln Square. I happen to look up and I see Lincoln Square sliding scale community acupuncture. I thought, well, the bar can wait. So I go up. This guy, he's like, how can I help you? I'm thinking, oh, buddy, you can't. But he puts a couple points in. You know, I thought, well, I don't know, this thing's weird. But I signed up to go up the next week, go back. And then I'm walking out, and I feel real emotional. And I was not real emotional then. And I thought, oh, so I drove home. I thought, well, I'll come back to the bar later, which I did, by the way. But I started crying. I cried for like 2 hours. And I thought, whatever that was just did something, and I'm not really sure what that was. So long story already long, I kept going back, and at one point, I was sitting there with the points in that sort of semi-altered state, and I heard this voice, not my usual logic voice, and it said, this is what you're supposed to do.
Whoa.
And I was like, this makes no sense. Like, I already had quite a few years of school under my belt, and I thought, I'm broke, I don't know what to do. But it's like I didn't have whatever was at that part of me, the higher part that was at the steering wheel, was there. So he came over, and I said, David, I need to do what you do. Where do I go to school? He told me. The next morning, I went to the admissions office. I said, sign me up. They're like, we haven't even given you a tour. So I dove in. I started 2 weeks later. Told my boss at the bar to screw himself, and and then that was the start of the healing journey. That was like in 2008.
2008, okay.
Yeah.
18 years or 17 years ago now.
Yeah. And then I finished that acupuncture license, and I graduated, and I worked for school, and I tried to start a practice there, but
Chicago?
Yeah, but I was kind of wanting something smaller. I had been there a while, And synchronicity led me back to Iowa City where I had done undergrad. This woman wanted an associate. So I went and worked for her for a couple of years. And she was a great business person. And she was also plugged into people doing all kinds of interesting work before everyone was talking about it, like human design, energy healing, all this kinds of stuff. So I end up, one lady that rents from us, she does healing touch energy healing. Like it's sort of like Reiki, but just a different format of education behind it.
Yeah.
So I start receiving work from her. One day she says, I think you'd really take to this work. And I'm like, okay. She said, level 1's coming up. And I said, I'm broke and I don't have a car. She's like, I'll give you a ride and we'll give you a scholarship.
Oh, goodness.
So I go, that's cool. I'm like, that's a nice thing. So then level 2, all the old ladies in Iowa City are like, you gonna be there? I'm like, I'm broke and I don't have a car. Like I tried to say no to energy healing every step of the way. And now in September 5th, I'm the opening speaker at their conference, which I find hysterical.
I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so from trying to not go and saying, come up with excuses to you're the keynote speaker.
Right. I'm like, life is so nuts. And then, I don't know, I know I'm sort of rambling on, but then it just kept opening. Like once I had opened that door, I had one more kind of dark moment before I propelled myself to Austin. I had another second drunk driving in 2014 where I thought I might not be able to practice acupuncture freely because the Board of Medicine was like hammering down.
From the legality of the arrest.
Yeah, I mean, I could practice, but I would have to be part of a really highly monitored program. And that all happened at the time where I had already actually quit my job. I wasn't practicing. I was just working at a bar at the moment, but they didn't care. And my energy healing, I had just done the big level where you're supposed to step into your year-long mentorship and do like 100 sessions and all this, like it's a big undertaking.
Yeah.
And so, that year I spent Christmas in jail and I'm like, I'm moving somewhere warm. And a couple of people have synchronistically mentioned Austin within the same week. So I'm like, screw it, I'm moving here. So I just got a moving cube. I had an old friend, a dance friend, who's also very into like witchy. She was my first like pagan friend. So I moved down and she dances with swords. She does all that sort of martial arts cool stuff. So I just moved down here, hadn't even visited.
I was going to ask if you'd even seen it first.
No, on a suspended license, like my belly dancing friend drove me down.
What year were we at when you got to Austin?
This was 2015. It was January 2015.
Okay, it's 10 years. Congratulations.
Thanks.
In Austin.
Yeah.
So you're in Austin, and what exciting things did Austin get after you arrived?
Oh my God. Well, when I first got here, I was still uncertain if I'd ever be able to like practice freely, like I had said before. And I figured, I probably won't finish my Healing Touch certification. Fine. So I worked at a bar and restaurant for a while, but then eventually I did get my Texas license to practice.
Acupuncture?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I thought, I'm broke. I don't really know anyone. I don't know how to start a practice. So I just kept working at a restaurant and at a bar, but then I ended up getting sober again. That was my intuition had been telling me for a long time, like, hey, you've gotten the second chance, you've gotten this license, like, what are you doing? And so I finally, I had been introduced to meetings before once, but I just decided to go, and that was the start of so much magic.
What date was that ish?
That was June 2nd of 2016.
Oh, you know the exact date, of course.
Yes.
And so basically, did AA really support you in putting down the alcohol? Is that you found that program supportive after all?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's interesting. I think it helps a lot of people.
Well, and I think about that a lot now with like the kinds of topics I go into. It did a couple things. One, literally the night before I went to AA, every night I would say, I'm not going to drink tonight. And then I would. I did not have choice. Somehow I go to one noon meeting, sit with a bunch of weird people in a weird, ugly room, and I didn't drink that night, and I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Now I kind of get what happened.
Yeah, what was it?
I think I still wasn't practicing. I still didn't own my energetic space. So I think what I did is I walked into a room of a lot of people with a pretty high vibration who had practiced a lot of sobriety, and I matched their calibration. And I think that that's often what happens especially if you see healing that happens in groups. Like, I had a spiritual experience, but I didn't know that I had had one. All I knew is, I think what happened was I calibrated, and then
beautiful.
And then the program,
it's an energetic process, actually, while everyone's talking and has the formalities of the words. There's actually this energetic thing happening in the room. That's very beautiful. Thanks for sharing that theory. Yeah, I like it.
And I do think I think that's a big part of it. But another a tendency that most alcoholics and addicts have is they're trying so hard to escape their reality. Well, the program, by giving you very concrete steps that are very simple and easy to do in the world, it cleans your energetic house, like, first of all, but it also gives you a concrete structure. And a lot of spiritual traditions are lacking that. They're like, oh, have faith. But people are like, okay, yeah, but how? They don't give them any actual, do this, write this
practical.
Down, do this. And so all of a sudden, they're like, do this. And even if I didn't understand it, I realized every time I did the thing, it worked.
Yeah.
And so now what I see happening with like step work is it actually clears. It's like doing an energy field clearing, but you're doing it a different way. And you're
fascinating.
And you're taking ownership for your responsibility. Like, if you do a 4th step inventory, you look at like a resentment or a fear, and then you see like, oh, what is this threatening in my life? And then you keep jumping over columns. But the most important column is the last one, where you say, like, what was my part in creating this? And so when you take ownership for something that's bothering you, then you don't feel like a victim.
Start to learn how to own your space, That's it. And then you stop blaming the world for your problems, and you start learning things like, hey, if I'm upset, I'm the problem. And not meaning I as in shame on me, but it means my perspective is the problem, and I need to write a new story. That is so beautiful. And isn't that one of the biggest shifts there is to make for really humanity, even right now? Yeah, from like, the source of power is way out there, and I don't know what's going to happen to me today. Who knows? I hope everything goes well today, but who knows? And gosh, the whole world could just slam me to the wall today. I don't know. I hope nothing terrible happens again. That's just so, it's so sad to not understand, whoa, you're the creator there.
Right.
And so even though the steps aren't couched in necessarily really woo-woo terms, they are helping people just step into that and notice.
That's right.
Oh, I created that problem I was blaming that other person for.
Yeah. And it was the first time where I had been in a situation where, I'm with other people that are getting together, because like if you go to a meeting, you're not talking about booze. You're not, once in a while, war story, but you're really talking about like, how do I take ownership for my life? Like, how can I bring my own joy to every situation? How can I get out of the bondage of self so that I can be of service, right? Because if I'm existing, and then the more we're of service, but like service isn't suffering or sacrifice, right? It's like, if I'm a big, bright, joyous being, then that's an act of service in itself.
It so is. I just was recently talking to a client who was like, well, I've been miserable so long. If I turn to joy, won't I be really selfish? And I was like, I can't think of anything more selfish than being miserable, because all he talks about is his misery all the time, and he cannot see anyone else around him.
That's it.
And I'm exaggerating. This is a person, but that, when I'm miserable, all I'm doing is focusing on myself and my misery.
You're stuck in yourself.
And I'm helping nobody, and it's the most selfish existence. And I go sit down with someone else to hang out, and I'm talking about my misery. That is so selfish. So it's so interesting that, like so many parts of this world, they're counterintuitive.
Right. Yeah, and it was neat. And so then after that, I somehow, I did go to massage school and get a massage license, because I thought, well, everyone and their mom wants massage, right? But even though acupuncture was the thing, like, I don't like massage, but I don't like still. But I did it just to have some kind of work that wasn't bar work. And so I was doing that, but it didn't take very long, because all I did was I really started a really dedicated daily meditation practice.
Okay.
And I went to the Shambhala Center, got some instruction, but I meditated a long time every day, because again, I don't have an off switch, so I was excessive in my meditation, I will admit.
That's a funny phrase.
Right. My meditation instructor was, I used to go to 3-hour sits on Sunday, and he's like, Stacy, I think you've just created a new cocoon out of a spiritual practice. And I'm like, Adam, you don't know what you're talking about? Who are you, a meditation instructor, telling me to meditate less? Crazy. But what the meditation did was it just stopped me from trying to over control and script the whole story, and I just sat and just being in the beingness did something that I can't describe and I don't need to. Mm-hmm. But that combined with, in AA, they just say, like, do the next right thing. So I never marketed, I didn't try to build a practice, I wasn't on line all the time, I wasn't doing any of that. And instead what I did was I just focused on, because the thing that really attracts is our spiritual presence, right? Because life isn't what we see at the surface. And I'd done a couple experiments with that when I lived in Iowa and realized, oh, that is true. But so I started meditating, and then doing the next right thing in front of me meant, oh, the cat has kicked some litter on the floor, I sweep it up now. I just did the next thing, even if it seemed unrelated to my bigger vision. I just did the next practical task, which an alcoholic usually avoids. I used to not open the mail, I'd have collection letters, whatever, and I was like, no, hide it, get drunk. It'll go away, it'll vanish. But here I started learning to be in the world and just literally do the next menial task, and all of a sudden, within a very short amount of time, my practice was getting busy.
That's a very beautiful just moment in the story. I just think that's a beautiful moment, because I really believe that we are guided and led all the time. And it may, like you said, the cat litter needs to be picked up. It may seem like this can't be on my spiritual path. Yeah, it actually is, because it's right there. And so walking by it is actually like a spiritual act.
Yeah.
And taking the bills from the mail and throwing them in a dresser drawer and getting drunk, that's a very spiritual act. It's a decision. Yeah. I'm not going to be fully stepping into everything I can be in the world. And every little tiny decision and choice we make is actually full of meaning and full of possibility. And so I love that you pointed that out, and that we don't have to know where all the things lead, but are you taking care of what's right in front of you all the time, not ignoring, not running, not avoiding, not criticizing it, shouting at it, just picking it up and moving to the next thing. It's actually a really intense spiritual practice.
It is, and it was really profound, and your
whole life changed. It just all started shifting from all these little acts.
It did, because I stopped trying to control, write, direct, and control the story and all the actors. And instead I thought, the invitations will show up to me, and all I have to do is just do the next thing the next obvious thing, and then the path will show itself to me, and I can just trust that. And that was a way that I could, practice faith without being in this big abstract thing. And sure enough, I rented a practice space, and I met this other woman who worked there. She was a craniosacral therapist, and she's like, I think you'd really take to this work. So pretty soon I'm studying that, and that became a big part of my path. And then 2 years
ago, craniosacral.
Yeah,
I didn't even know you did do that. Awesome.
Yeah, and so I took that, of course,
it became the best.
As far as I could take that, but that talks about connecting to your inner wisdom. So then I kind of but I was working like a hybrid. So clients would come in, and I did finish my Healing Touch certification in there. I didn't mention that part, but I did get a long distance mentor, and I did those 100 sessions in the year. I did all that work. So I got that certification. And then I started with the craniosacral. And all of these, I started noticing there's a theme in all of them, which is all of these, in all of this work, you are tuning in and listening, which for somebody who talks as much as I do, it's funny because my whole work is listening. maybe that's why I talk so much when I'm not at work. But listening, not with like what they're saying. I mean, I listen to what they're saying, but like most of my work is in silence and listening with all my senses and like going over here. Yeah. And so their energy is telling me things. My own, so I listen to their inner wisdom and my inner wisdom, and you know, we're all from the same quantum field, so like, do we have to parse out whose is whose? No. But, or even if I sense something in their field, it's tapping into this presence and inner wisdom and following, and just not trying to do or fix or change, but just following and like letting the energy do what it needed to do.
Following the energy, just following the energy. That might be what we're actually here for.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing you say right this point now, you are literally trained in and certified in acupuncture, massage, craniosacral, and this energetic healing touch.
Yes. And then 2 years ago, another series of synchronicities, somehow I found myself planted in clairvoyant school. And of course, I took that to the nth degree. I did the undergraduate program, I think the requirement was 40 readings that you have to do in a year. I did 106 because that's what I do. And then
pretty soon, more.
I do the graduate program, then I did animal communication, then I did teacher training. And so now next year I'll probably start the transmedium workshop, all the things. But again, it felt right, and so I followed it.
Yes.
And so, but the coolest thing is, I think I just realized my whole life, I guess the theme would be about trusting life, trusting the energy, realizing like I don't have to make it up. Life is co-creation. It's not, I don't have to have it all, we don't have to figure it out, right?
Effort it, and logic it, and spreadsheet it out. Pros, cons.
Yeah, like, it can be more ease.
Logically and efforting and debating and arguing in the mind and the logical mind. Oh my God, I see how much waste we have.
It's exhausting.
So much energy we put toward these almost useless activities. I just feel like my logical mind at this point in my life is so... Of course it's important. Of course it's an important part of me, but it's been so overemphasized by this culture that it has just it's at this point, I really try to not use my logical mind almost at all. I mean, there's just certain calculations when I call on it. But otherwise, I don't want to be in it.
Yeah.
It's just wasted.
Yeah, and life becomes so much more fun. And before we did the podcast, we were chatting for a minute, and we kind of touched on this a minute, but that's been like the biggest progression. I think when I was younger, because I didn't feel like I knew what I was doing, I felt invalidated. Then the whole world felt like this threat, that was somehow a threat. And so first of all, a big chunk of my life, I did not want to be in the world. I was like, this is scary. I want out. It was like, seemed like the solution.
That's how threatening it was to you.
Yeah. But then when I got sober and I was like, well, and I had a really kind of a woe is me, victim entitled perspective. Like, I didn't ask to be here in this garbage. This thing is awful and it's painful and it sucks and I hate all of it. I don't want to be here. I'd rather be anywhere else, And but then when I got sober, I realized, wow, that was like really entitled and arrogant and just kind of, it's a rude perspective to have, really. But I didn't shame myself for it. I just was honest about it. I'm like, oh yeah, look what I was doing. It wasn't great, And then I realized, okay, I'm here. Pardon me. So that means I have some kind of role, that I'm here to serve.
Must be a reason, right?
Like, yeah, and even if I don't have, it doesn't have to be a logical reason, but I'm here. So I decided, okay, well, since I'm here, I'm going to suit up and show up and like do the next right thing, whatever that means. And so it's like I went from saying, I don't want to be here, to saying, okay, I've accepted that I'm here and I will own my responsibility. But then somehow in all of the work, because all the work was like spiritual work, whether it be and it's just been deepening and deepening, where it has now evolved to a place where not only do I see it as like, okay, yeah, I'm responsible, but it seems like this honor and like a gift.
I have chills.
Yeah, and now I'm realizing like everything, it's like we're in a holographic universe. So every single person I meet is mirroring something to me about me, and I am also mirroring something to, like, because it's happening simultaneously. And so when he realized that, like, even the mosquito bite I get on my leg is always on some point that I needed the energy. So even that is like a little helper. So the things that we can't stand, are also, and then when you realize everything is a helper and nothing is wrong, then life becomes so magic, and you realize, like, you can't fall off. Like, you can't really die, you can't fall off. I mean, you can, but, like, when you start looking at things from spirit, you realize, like, death isn't even what we think it is, right?
Well, I know. I think that it's so funny how many even religions are like, their soul is eternal, da-da-da, and they're like, but don't die, no matter what. I'm like, wait, didn't you just say you actually think we're eternal? What is your problem with the death piece there? So yeah, I when I really, really grokked that, it was so liberating. It's like, I actually cannot screw up. And actually, even if I actually lose this body, well, I'm probably going to be like in a more interesting place. It's not actually a screw up. And I've heard recently someone talk about death as the greatest healing process we will ever get to have.
Well, and you weren't always in this body, and you were fine.
I know. How could I believe in the eternal soul and then be so nervous about this one tiny, tiny piece ending? It's just so interesting.
Right.
Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Oh.
So you have completely shifted from, I don't even want to be here, and the world is such a threat, get me out, to, oh my gosh, the mosquitoes are on my side.
Right.
Oh my goodness, I had a mosquito bite. How beautiful. It's an interaction with you and the universe. It's all for you.
Yeah. And
it's all for me as I sit here. I just think it's amazing that, like, say 8 billion of us, how does it do that? How does the universe have everything for me and everything for you, and we're sitting together, and everything that's happening right now is both for you and for me. I'm perceiving what I need to see, you. It's
right.
A miracle.
Yeah, and it's so
beautiful, epically beautiful.
Yeah, it's so cool. And, the thing I've been looking at lately, because then, and this is part of, now the next thing I'm being called to do is more speaking, teaching, writing. I've always written a lot, but I've, usually don't share it with people. And I was always like, well, I don't know. Why do I want to share a podcast? Why would people want to hear whatever I'm talking about, weird things, But so I got accepted to give a talk at this conference, so that's going to happen. And now,
so what's the name of the conference? Where is it? And what's the date? Just let the audience know the details on it.
Yes, it's the annual Healing Beyond Borders Energy Healing Conference. It's going to be held in Bloomington, Minnesota.
Okay, cool.
September 4th through the 7th. They have it annually in different places. A couple of years it was on Zoom with the pandemic, and but yeah, so now I'm going to be speaking there, and all of a sudden you're like, do you want to be on a podcast? And I thought, oh, I see. And I think what I'm being called to do, even though, like, I can talk all day long and I love to, but it's a little, I've never spoken at a conference before. So there was a part of me that thought, nah, just stick with your practice. You don't need to do that. But, when you hear the call, it's like,
that was the next thing. It's the next right thing.
Yeah, and it's bringing this sort of message, which lots of people are bringing this message. Because for a while I had, that's programming. I'm like, but other people have these same realizations. We're in the quantum field. Everyone already knows this. They don't, but we all say it in a different way.
Yes, right.
And so
what are you going to be, sharing in your conference? It must be, first of all, is it your most cutting edge work? Is it where you're at right now?
Yeah, and as I've been working on the presentation, it has also been evolving me. And it's really about, it's called certainty and inner authority, owning your space. And when I say certainty, I don't mean like intellectual, I'm certain this will happen. It's not like that. It's more of that deep trust that there's an inner wisdom in life, and that I don't have to figure anything out, that I can listen, and there's always guidance. There's guidance from within, there's guidance from without. Every interaction in my life is an invitation. And go this way, right?
A whisper.
And like you do in your classes, when I go in, that's also leading me and guiding me.
Yes.
Like we're never without guidance.
when you were saying that, I was thinking, we just said, not the logical mind, not the Excel spreadsheets, but the way I use my words, it would be like my body knows.
Yeah.
And it knows what it wants next.
Yeah.
It's a whole different guidance system. I know people use different words. It's not technically just the body. It's like all these dimensions. But,
right, because
it's this knowing.
Yeah, because one of the points I'm going to bring up in this conference is the there's many, but like because it's a holographic universe, every cell in my body is a totality representation of the totality of my entire being.
Unbelievable.
And the same thing, it's also the entire universe, right? It depends on how big you want to bring it. And so in craniosacral work, they do a lot of this where, I'll get a client come in and look at what a lot of us do. A client will come in and say, the knee, or this damn back, right?
Mm-hmm. This one part of me.
But they don't even say it's part of me. They say the knee as if it's separate. And then we do these exercises in Cranio where what they have you do is you realize like, I don't have a heart, I am my heart. And so they have an exercise where you become, like, let's say my sacrum was really in pain and I became my sacrum. I actually went in and felt myself become that.
That's beautiful.
And then I was asked to describe yourself using 10 I statements. And so I became my sacrum and I said, I am dark, I am pain, I am cold, and I described my psyche in that moment. And so when we start realizing, again, even owning our own physical experiences, right? And it's just wild to me.
You're saying when someone describes that part in the I am statements, and once they become that part, then you look at their statements, they have actually described their psyche.
Yeah, they usually, or at least something subconscious or conscious.
Yeah.
And so
that's beautiful.
Because we've been, a big thing in the talk is how many of us, culturally, and also how none of this is wrong. We are supposed to go through states and stages of development in this, but the big stage we're being asked to emerge out of, I think now, coming out of the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, is moving from this victim identification and this sense of lack of identity, lack of trust in the self, this invalidation victim complex that we have, right? Like think about it, if somebody gets sick, they get scared, they run to the doctor, somebody who is like they have the facts and they have the evidence and they have the proof and I can tell you you're going to take this, but like they give their power away. They just go, I'm scared, my body has hijacked me as if it's separate.
Right.
Oh, I'm the victim.
Right.
Fix it. I don't want to feel it. I don't want to work. Just make it go away. Make the symptoms go away now. And
it's like the problem was external, the solution's external.
Right. And so what the talk is about is like how, just like we do that inventory at AA, like if I have an illness, I'm in active co-creation of that. And that's not to blame because, Louise Hay did a lot of that.
Oh, I love her. I had that little book so long ago.
And people, they got lit up. They're like, nobody wants to create their own cancer, blah, blah, blah. Well, I would actually suggest otherwise because even that, again, nothing's wrong. Everything's a gift. So I think that when people get scary disease diagnoses or crises, bankruptcy, divorce, they get fired or something big happens in their life, usually what had been happening was something in them was saying, I don't like where I am, I don't want to be here. Their truth is telling them go this way. But then they've written the story that they have to figure it out, they have to create it, and they're like, yeah, but I can't get rid of this partnership or this job because then I won't have the money to pay the bills and then the da-da-da-da-da, and all the reasons why not, because they're forgetting that like source is always going to play the next card, right?
Yeah.
Like kind of a thing. I always say God's going to play the next card, but that I don't view God as something with an agenda. Like the quantum field is going to, if I'm in alignment following the flow, what I need will unfold. That's what I'm really trying to say. But I think a lot of times you see people do that. And so then because of the story they've written about the situation, which is false, so they've created a completely false premise. Then
based on external principles and programming,
a lot of
and
conditioning,
what everyone else says I'm supposed to do.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then they've created this narrative of why it's not practical and it can't work. So then they stay in said marriage, said job that's not where they want to be or need to be or where they're being called to
habit.
be. And so then what ends up happening is, oh, boom, you get a huge crisis. And there's your radical invitation to change. So the crisis is actually
Beautiful
the way,
phrase.
it's your way out, right? It's the way to break you free. And so, but most people, so some people you see, it happens. Like you see people that get, and all of a sudden they change everything in life. Like it's a wake up. Some people use it as a wake up call.
They get the message.
Yes. And then all of a sudden you just see them thrive.
Yeah.
But then you see people make another choice where they say, oh, I'm a victim. I'm going to now identify with this disease. And then you see them not heal, right?
Yeah.
And so, but I am here to propose that no matter what choice someone makes, that's like wherever they are, there's not like right or wrong. There's not good or bad.
Beautiful.
Right? I don't think that there's
even
not
the
like
person who's quote unquote what I just said doesn't get the message, then you would say that's not wrong.
Right, because that's part of their evolutionary journey. And you know, I had a friend a long time ago that said, don't yell at the rosebud for not being a rose. I haven't looked at this person's, you know, on a spirit level or their soul, like what they came in to experience and grow and whatever. And so like, I don't think you can screw it up. I don't think anything's wrong. And I think also part of that is every person in this world, since we're part of the same quantum matrix, like I'm going to come out and take the shape of me for a minute, and then I might come out and take the shape of a squirrel or the air or whatever. Like we're all the characters in all the play. And so I feel like when other people are doing that, it gives me good practice to be unconditional in my love and to like refrain from judgment, right?
So beautiful.
Because
beautiful.
If everyone was just making the freaking right, healthy choice all the time, we'd not learn anything.
We would not.
Right? And it never. So when I see, because you know, I think the other thing that's going to be in this talk too, there's again many things to talk, but is that idea that if I get lit up by something, like if somebody is being judgmental,
okay,
and I'm like, oh, how can they be so judgmental? I'm already being judgmental.
Look what just happened.
That's it. And so we're all the potential, because we're this multidimensional, we exist of all the frequencies, and they're all available at all times. We all have all the potential. So if we can just drop the like, he's a villain and she's a good person, and just say like, I'm all of them. I'm the villain. I'm the saint. I'm all of it. We're all of it. So we can just drop the whatever, and we all have all the potentials. It doesn't mean that they're all active, you know, to different degrees. But like in AA, they always say, hey, if you spot it, you got it. So like if I'm seeing hatred in the world, that means I got hatred. I might not be acting it out in a big overt way, but in the scope of energy, it's all the same. If I'm hating somebody in my thoughts, it's no different than I'm out like punching them. Like other people might say, oh, it's not the same. And in some ways it's not, but it is.
It really is.
It is. The resonance is the same.
You know, I'll tell you right now, there's so many people shouting for war, and I know, maybe you don't hear it if you don't look at the media or see certain things, but there are so many places in the world that are just about either currently exploding toward war or just on the edge of it, about to. There's so many different places in the world doing that. And I've been having some conversations right now just about the Middle East specific one, but there are like 10 or 15 separate international fires about to start, in my opinion, which is not wrong. It's just
right.
What's happening. But it's interesting to me that some of my friends are now arguing for war. And I look back a few years and think, I think we were all pacifists together. I think we all thought we should all end all war. But I have people I know who are smart people who are like, well, and it's interesting to hear their justifications, because I'm like, really? And they're like, well, if they are threatening to kill me, I have to kill them. And it's just so interesting. I think that there's a current, our global culture, and in the U.S. too. I think, I don't know, maybe more in Europe, but the point is, I am really fascinated right now with the people who are justifying killing other people and how they're justifying it. I'm not calling it wrong. I'm saying it's fascinating. Does that tie in at all with what you're saying? Like, but just think of that sentence, like, they're going to kill me, so I'm going to have to kill them first. Like, what are you thinking? It seems so obvious to me that you are doing what you're saying they're doing.
Well,
and they think that's better. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. To me, this really ties in with violence right now in our society. Because a lot of people, I think they feel like there's a defensive violence thing that is justified because they're wrong, I'm right. I don't know. But to me, it's like, whoa, that's the same thing, my brother.
Yeah, well, and you know, we do that when we have, again, because everything is a mirror. And so if I get lit up by something, like if I am lit up by the violence, that means I have that active resonance, not even just the potential, but that means it's active in me.
I think that's a fascinating thing right there.
And so if I am lit up by violence, that means there's a violence in me, but most people don't recognize it because usually it's aimed at ourselves. So where am I fighting with myself? And I think right now, because we're in this big evolution where we're kind of moving from this 3D is really like, I need to control it and I can't, there's nothing I can trust. But we're a part of us is emerging that's like, yes, you can trust, you can let go. And I feel like people are having a war within themselves, right? And maybe that's where we see the external manifestation. And so, but everyone
so beautiful.
Thinks, oh, I need to go out and do the external war. But it's like, how about I work with the conflict in me?
Yeah.
You know, and we had mentioned this before we started recording. That's, as I've been working on this presentation, I was kind of like, well, you know, because I teach people, I bring them through a meditation how to calibrate their energy field and their psychic space, so that basically, if you're in a place of clarity and, you know, non-judgment, if your field is clear, then you just see whatever's there, but you don't write a story about it. So we can clear some of the stories when we're in that space. But the point isn't, I started asking myself, okay, the point isn't to be it's not to be perfect in life and spiritual alignment and anything. And so, like, that's sort of like, if I want to be in a blissful, meditative, or a perfectly clear, perfectly aligned, oh, look at Saint Stacy over here, place all day long, then that's actually like me, that's kind of self-seeking, right?
Yeah.
And so the point isn't, of course we'd all love to be in that, but that's like asking to be in an orgasm all 24/7 or to be high 24/7. And you see people try to do these things, right? That's what addiction is trying to. And so then after I thought, well, if that's not the point, then what is the point? And I think it's to practice these things and have these moments where we go to a healing space or we do a meditation, we get clear. And I think the point is to, you know, clear the energies out of our own space to like be the change you want to see in the world, right? We know that, but having some practical tools, like in psychic work or energy, we learn tools to clear that energy out of my space and update myself to present time. So I can clear some of these programs. I can clear some of that control energy or that whatever energy it is, or the violence or the fear, because fear is really underneath everything, right? That shows up. But then I thought, well, if the point isn't perfection, then why do we do this? And I think if we're present enough, you can start having some amusement and a light touch, and you can then start seeing the magic and seeing that even the things that look horrific and disastrous are also like really beautiful, valuable parts of the experience. Because like the point of being in duality is not to be free of conflict. And I was like, well, you hear all these people, they're like, oh, I wish for peace in the world and love and light. And I'm like, but if we say that we only want love and light, then we've excluded the darkness. And that's
judged it.
And that's an act of harm in itself by saying this is good, this is bad. And so what if, so that was my thing my big theme last week was like, okay, instead of me wishing to have total peace within all the parts of myself or total peace in the world, which feels a little delusional if I know I'm in duality, right? Where we need the oppositional forces. It's like physics, you need all the forces. So if instead of saying that, what if I just start saying, can I be at peace with the conflict? And that's not like saying, because I can already hear people being like, well, that's just like saying that you're okay with people harming people.
I could hear that too. Right. Yeah, right. Like, what about people dying? You're okay with that?
But it doesn't mean that, because it means a couple things. It means that, one, the more I am at peace, the less I am contributing to the harm. And the more I am at peace, the less I engage in harmful behaviors, the less I will create harm in my life, right? And the more I'm present, the more loving I can be. And the more I can love people doing harmful things, then the more permission they get to not have to create sideways harm from trying to hide shame or whatever they're doing.
Just from the judgment itself.
Right. And so I think there's also this book I want to bring up. Cynthia Bourgeault wrote this book, The Eye of the Heart, and she nails this.
The Eye of the Heart.
Yeah.
Okay.
She nails this in this one chapter, because all these spiritual traditions are like, this is the illusion, and we want to get to heaven. Like, this is just a big old garbage can, right?
I've heard that.
Right, and I don't think that this is a garbage can. I used to think it was, which is so funny, but now I think this is actually where the biggest magic in all the cosmos happens, is here in this messy, gritty, painful thing, because we're all the dimensions. So we have a tension. There's one dimension of you, of me, that is the God dimension, that knows that we're all one, there's no separation, da 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 da. But then there's a part of me that's reactive and going to be like, somebody races me out of an intersection, I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, let's go, I got a challenger, dude, let's go,
Yes.
Like, and this lady
get competitive in 1 second after your meditation.
Right, I just get done with meditation, I'm like, you're going down, dude, you're going down. And instead of getting mad at myself for that, I think it's charming and cute and funny how we are. But this, Cynthia describes this tension, because it's not necessarily an easy or comfortable thing to be in this reality that we are. But she describes the tension that we have, the special tension that, I don't personally, at least maybe I do when I go travel or something, but I don't know what is happening in other realms, other dimensions, but at least in this human form, this tension, she describes like being like a string on a stringed instrument. The tension is where you get the beautiful sound. And she says nice. The most lovely thing, and she said the tension of our human experience here, when we are witnessing people being harmed and witnessing things that are total atrocities, and our heart breaks, and we break into that, Buddhism would call it the tender heart of compassion. She said that is where that tension creates the most beautiful products in all the universe. All the universe. We here as humans we create the most beautiful products in all the cosmos, and that's love and compassion. And those are generated. You don't generate love when you're feeling lovey and good. You generate love when you connect to, you see a human suffering and you connect, you have compassion, you know what suffering is like, and you just feel like you love them and you love people, and and I really
at a higher level,
right?
Because I saw that suffering, I'm now at a much higher
level, and you want
to
take action, you want to act better, and you want to treat people in your world better, and you want to show up,
go out and do a good deed, help someone.
And so I think in some ways we forget that all this mass amounts of strife and this difficulty of like, even if somebody close to me dies, right, there's a part of me that knows that, like, especially as a clairvoyant, we look at things as spirit. I know that, like, energy's not destroyed, I know that they're not gone, but I love that there's a part of me that's going to sob and feel so much pain and so much grief because I love them so much, right? So I think we forget how beautiful, and if everything was just like non-duality and love and light, I think this would be absolutely no fun. It would be boring. You know what I mean? Like,
you just totally just bring that to the world. I love it. Yeah, well, you live that is what I'm trying to say. You're not just saying words. I think you totally live that.
And think about the entertainment. What do people like? We like horror, suspense, thriller, drama, comedy, because everything is absurd.
Right.
But I think like how do we handle this? Like, yes, we like that, knowing that we create, love and compassion, but we're like, man, this is still really hard and it's painful. I think bringing amusement. I think amusement is one of the highest vibrations there is. And if we can just appreciate the absurdity, try to love ourselves when we're not being very nice, because then
even ourselves, not just others.
Yeah, because if I start, if I'm able to sit with myself, and I think meditation does that, different parts of yourself arise. If I can sit with my own stuff being gnarly, I have a much easier time sitting with somebody else.
Yeah,
definitely. And so I think that's kind of the point of, I think, all my work is like, hey, you have the innate inner wisdom. You can trust that. You can trust life. You can trust that you're an extension of source. Life doesn't have to be a big threat. Even if it looks like it's punishing you, it's not. And it was funny. Last week I had a client that said she believes the universe is punishing her and against her in various forms. And I stopped and I said, wait a minute. I said, but you are the universe.
What'd she say?
Nothing. But that's, and then even when I said it, I didn't realize what I was saying, but I'm like, that's true. So like, if I believe I'm punished, well, who's the actual punisher? It's me,
Yeah, I really love what you're saying about that. And I hear that like, it's 444. I just love that number. And what I hear, this is beautiful. Like, I think not everyone has been exposed to this concept that, well, of course, the classic term is as inside, so outside, or as outside, so inside. So each one of us are in this complicated material world. You were exposed to some different things today than I was. I was exposed to some unique set of things today. And whatever jumped out at me, and especially you're saying whatever lit me up, and I think you're saying lit up as far as kind of like triggered, not necessarily like love, but that too. But
I mean,
when
both,
you've been using it, it seems like, that I'm mad or angry or I'm activated. Whatever activates me, whatever I don't like out there, that is something in me. And I guess the lesson and learning is, thank you, universe, for showing me this thing that triggered me into this response of, ugh, gross, or they're bad, so I can go back and figure out what part of me is actually doing that and clean that up.
Yeah.
And work with it. And then, of course, work with it how? I can go see Stacy Kluck and get on her table. I could go there, like at this point, especially in Austin, we have hundreds, if not thousands, of methods around us to help us figure it all out. But the point is, whatever's bothering me, something in me is actually that. If I can find that and tune my own self the way I like it, and then I can, in turn, be this kind of like a little bubble. I see the universe and I see suffering, and inside me is simply generated more love and compassion for me and everyone. And I may even take an action on that and just do something wonderful for the universe, because I'm now owning my space, and I'm no longer now a victim. I'm an emanator of really acceptance of all things, love and acceptance of all things, of course, starting with myself. And then if each one of us did simply our internal work, nothing else, simply the internal work of looking for those places and working with those like we'd like to. And I think when you say there's nothing that's wrong, I think of total acceptance of all things. Like there's a war, that's to spark off more people's compassion, and mine included, and I can spark off that. Now, if each individual just took care of their own self internally, that's all, nothing else, and just picked up the cat litter when it was time, that's it. the whole world would be full of these beaming light sources. We'd be so compassionate toward one another and accepting of all the parts. And we could laugh at the silliness of the universe and cry when we lose a loved one and sincerely grieve that, but not judge, not ask God why the wrongness of it, but rather, my God, this place is so beautiful. My God. And knowing you on this earth was so beautiful. I'll never forget it. It's so joyful. I'm so grateful I had that. A beautiful book I love called Smell of Rain on Dust is about grieving. And he says, if you're grieving a lot, you loved a lot. Isn't that great? Aren't you excited? Like, the higher I grieve, the more now in my life I'm usually able to be like, wow, I loved so much. I got to love so much.
Yeah,
Isn't
you
that
got to
wonderful?
have that delicious experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I picking up what you're putting down,
Yes,
girl?
that's 100%. That's 100%.
Such a twist on the entire universe. I feel so full of love and acceptance just talking to you about this. I feel kind of high. I feel kind of high compared to when we started the podcast.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's fun to realize, like,
it's kind of a game in a way. It's like, can I figure out why I'm upset right now?
Yeah, and it's also exciting to see, like, oh, who's gonna show up on my path next? Like, oh, that's interesting. That's, because it's just like this cool, like, when you know that nothing is an accident and nothing's random, then everything is magic, and that's fun.
Everything is magic. Oh, I love that view of the world. And also, this is all happening by letting go of control.
That's it.
By stopping controlling.
Right.
That's a tough one.
Oh, yeah.
Especially because in this, I think it's dark side that we have to have a certain amount of beans every single month or we don't get to eat. The money thing, bank account
the scarcity,
thing.
Not enough. That's a big one.
I have to keep getting more of these things so I can exist with food and shelter. But even that turns out to be just an interesting, energetic dance.
That's a program too.
And that's a tough one to drop, of course.
Well, it's so hard because
what
so
if
many
I
people
actually
share
don't
it.
have food, But everyone I know who's dropped that has food.
Well, and that's the thing is, I think a lot of times when we drop old programming or set it down or develop a new mindset, and you can tell people are being guided to go there, because look at all these master classes on manifestation and abundance. Like, people are shifting their views, and it's happening because it's in the cultural, it's in the zeitgeist, right? And it's happening, but like, I always think the interesting thing that happens with the quantum field or whatever is that, like, the leap of faith term, it's real, because most people, they don't want to do the leap part of it. They want their foot on the landing and on the takeoff point. They want proof to be like, I want to know for sure this is going to work out. They want to control it. But
totally.
And when you do that, you don't get the magic, because you don't open to the potential of, you don't trust that what's coming in. But every time I or any person I've ever known has done some radical thing where they have no money and they leave their job anyway, or they move, or they whatever they're really being, their intuition and is like telling them, do this. When they stop all the reasons why it won't work and they stop trying to control it and they do it, I have never seen anyone fail or fall.
I have seen the same thing when they let go of the control and they jump into the wildness of the unknown.
Yeah.
It's really one of the secrets of great orgasms. I work with people sexually, and it's a lot of times that people don't want to be in the unknown. Yeah. I'm like, but you have to jump to get that insane level of bliss.
Yeah.
We were talking before this, and I said you remind me of a character in a movie. The movie's K-pop Demon Killer, and if anyone sees the movie, and then I'll make sure they see a picture of you also as part of this podcast, they're going to immediately put it together. And the interesting thing is that she has this thing she says, like, I grew up a wild child and now I'm getting paid for it. Like, I grew up too wild and too hot to handle, and everyone was telling me I was wrong, and now she's a pop star.
I love it.
And she's paid for like the wildest shit she can come up with. And I just think of you on that one.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Like, everyone called it wrong. But now she's like pretty much owns the universe, you know? She's got money just flowing toward her and just owns everything. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Oh, that's so
be
fun.
our wild child.
Okay,
is there anything you want to leave the audience with? This has been amazing, so fun. I feel really excited. I feel so high. What would you like to make sure?
I think.
Yeah.
Amusement. Have a light touch.
Yeah.
Like, serious energy is what kills all creativity. You know. So if you start, I'm not doing this, you know, because I'm still unwinding my, I was the world's biggest control freak, I will tell you that.
I like that story.
And
I mean, it shows such a contrast in who you've become.
And I don't, when those control elements try to pop through, which of course they do, because like, I'm a human, I'm going to have fear, I'm going to have, you know, and then when there's fear, I'm going to want to control it. But I invite myself, I have little mantras or whatever, things that I can say or do. And a few years ago, a buddy of mine said, when he finds himself tense or efforting, he asked himself, like, what would this look like if it were easy?
Ooh,
right?
Nice.
And I liked that. And then I kind of took that up another notch a couple of years ago and said, what would this look like if it were fun? And so that's been the invitation now, is like, hey, we can enjoy our lives. Like, even when we're doing good work, and especially when we're, like, not good as opposed to bad, but even when we're doing the inner work, like, this can be fun. This can be pleasurable, right? It's not like, it doesn't have to be serious. Like,
totally.
It can be fun and funny. And, you know, whenever you see, like, little, like, the big guru, like, monks and stuff, whenever they're sitting together, they just giggle like little girls the whole time. Everyone else is sitting there like, do I have my scarf on right? Am I on my cushion right? Like, I need to have my tea and be serious. Everyone's trying so hard. And then the people that they're there to be, like, guided by it, inspired by, are like, hee, you know, everything's funny because they get it, you know?
That's so beautiful.
And so I think, if anything, like, life can be easy. That doesn't mean comfortable.
Yeah.
But there can be ease.
Yeah. What a beautiful distinction.
There can be ease and like, laugh at it. It's okay. It's okay. Like, it doesn't have to be so serious.
Drop the mic. That is awesome. That is so perfect. Now, I just want to make sure people know how to find you and that they could work with you if they want to. And you have an office in Austin, Texas.
I do.
People find you at stacycluck.com. All the links will be here, but it's STACYKLUCK.com. You have a podcast. Is it on your website if people click?
It is not yet. I just started it, and I'm in the process of deciding, do I want a separate website for all the speaking things? So I'm, you know, we're always a work in progress, and I'm also deciding, do I want to set up a separate site for doing clairvoyant work, which is different than the in-person work. But yeah, so right now
we'll put all your links that are,
we'll just put the
links there, and stacycluck.com is headquarters.
Yes, and that has the in-person, and there are also ways to connect if people wanted to schedule some sort of intuitive reading or animal communication, because that's now part of the practice. Right.
So you can see people both in Austin, hands-on,
or anywhere
online.
Yeah.
And I see it's acupuncture, healing touch, craniosacral, Chinese herbal medicine.
Yep.
Didn't even know you had that. And obviously now also other services as well, clairvoyant and animal communication stuff.
Yeah. And the in-person work, typically I don't do acupuncture and then like leave the room. Usually I stay in.
I was going to ask what it looks like and what it feels like. So if someone goes in, do they make one appointment, or do they have a package or a series?
They make one appointment.
Okay,
typically.
one at a time. Okay.
Yeah, I mean.
And then what happens when what if I make an appointment? What's it going to be like for me?
So if you have a specific request, I only want to work with the energy field. I only want healing touch. Then we only work with the field. Or some people say, I only want craniosacral. Then we only do that. Most of the time that when people say, I want acupuncture, typically I turn that into a hybrid, because as long as the points and the meridians are in there doing their thing, I'm there. I don't try to treat multiple people at a time, because I have decided...
That's unique.
I have decided to do really deep relationships with each client that I have, and I would rather do... I mean, that's just worked, and it's been fun for me. So basically, I'll feel the pulses, I'll put a few acupuncture points in, so the meridians are organizing themselves, or that person's organizing themselves, and then my intuition gauge, or I can test the energy other ways too, but usually my intuition will say, while they're doing this, let's clear this part of the field over here.
Oh.
And then I'll go be working while they're in that already semi-altered state, or they have the points in, and I'll think, oh, you know what? There's a restriction up at the base of the occiput. So while the points are in, I go and have my hands under there. So we're working a couple systems at once. And now...
I got chills just hearing about this.
And it's neat, because I think I started doing that a while back, but it really amped up during and after the pandemic. I stayed open the whole time. And
Beautiful.
People were very isolated, and afterwards people weren't getting touched. And so even though there's a special magic that happens when the points are in and you leave the room and they're alone with their energy, that's for sure. But I just realized what I was called to do was stay present with them while they're going through whatever they're doing, and having the hands on felt extra supportive, especially in a time when a lot of people weren't getting a whole lot of touch.
Yeah.
And so now, as my practice is evolving, I'm realizing that I'm doing much more, like, even if my hands are on, I'll see something, even though I'm not trying to do a reading, I'll see something, and I'm actually doing, or their energy is always doing the work, but as I observe it, they're being validated. So I don't believe that I do to or for anyone, but when you validate different parts of a person's energetic space, they tend to...
They heal.
They do it more effectively when they know when you observe something, it responds, right? And so I think, but now my work is moving, perhaps, and again, this is where I'm not sure where the evolution is going to go.
What does it feel like?
It feels like it's moving more towards doing more things in the psychic space, because I'm starting to see, like, oh, any of the things I can do with hands-on, I can do from anywhere by seeing it and doing that healing space.
Even if they're not in the room with you.
That's right. That's
yeah.
right. So, and
That's
but I
beautiful.
still love the interaction with people, and I do love having hands-on, because it's some tactile, and I think it's fun, and it's fun for them. So, I think it's I'm just letting it be whatever it needs to be, and letting myself be whoever I need to be, and might move into more speaking. I think I would like more variety, where I'm not always, because I was in person doing like 6 or 7 sessions a day for many years, and I hardly left my office. Because you're too tired when you get done. Yeah. So now I think there might be more traveling, more speaking, maybe more remote clairvoyant sessions, or who knows? I'm open, but some will always be in person too, because I love that. So I'm just letting it, I think, be a little more. I'm just going to see where it takes me.
That is, obviously what we were talking about. I love it. StacyKluck.com. I am thrilled to know you. And closing out here, thank you so much for being with me today. And if you find out that you have gone into all new realms and you want to come back and share about all those new realms, we want to hear about it. We didn't even really go into, and I'm fascinated by psychic readings, clairvoyance, multidimensional seeing, and to me, that could be a whole separate episode I would love to talk about. I feel like people's powers are coming online more right now into clairvoyance and all the different ways of seeing without seeing, knowing without knowing, and higher levels of perception. So maybe that's a whole different one.
Oh, that would be so fun.
Would you like to do that? Like, you feel that in you? Because I would love to go there.
I think that would be so fun, because
like multidimensional seeing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because that's actually who we are. That's our truth. And again, that's sort of another area where we're taking off the old stories that were not that.
Yeah. I'm kind of dabbling, and I keep hearing it's just about dropping the idea that you can't.
Yes. We
were all born with these really high multidimensional perceptions, like you were talking about in the car when you were little.
Yeah.
And then someone told you couldn't at some point, and like all of us.
And if you actually...
And we accepted it. We accepted the external limitation and became the victim. Just our own culture does that to us.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, because clairvoyance, all it means is clear seeing. Mm-hmm. And how do you see clearly? You get all the things out of your way that are not you and are not in present time. In a clairvoyance school, they do not teach you how to be psychic. They help you get all the things out of the way that are not your truth. That's it. Easy.
I really want to have you back to talk about that.
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
That'll be next time. We just gave them a little droplet of here's what we'll go.
They're on the edge of their seats now.
Right.
It's a cliffhanger for, I don't like TV shows that do that, but what the hell? We just did it.
Because, we can break our own rules, yeah.
Nothing's wrong. I am on earth to support those who are called to bring maximum love and light into their lives. Liberated self-expression in all realms, where all is sacred. Connecting with you to create a cosmic web of love and light throughout the realms. And I want to hear from you, dear audience members. So leave a comment or shoot me an email by visiting my site at riverroaring.com and clicking Get Started to share your question, reflection, or insight. Together we can step into a more harmonious vibration. We can fly higher, shifting human consciousness forever for the highest good of all beings. May the love be with you, and may the love be with us all.